Well, a lot of people are protesting because they don't like the fact that the Trump administration has sent in the National Guard to Washington, D.C.
What?
A lot of locals say that crime is down. There is no crime. What crime? What are you talking about? But the crumbs of crime evidence is all over the city, and we're going to talk about this today.
Listen, I 100% agree with you. That is a constant threat. It becomes more of a threat as Donald Trump turns the heat up on his fascist agenda. After his 10 a.m. press conference this morning where he said he's federalizing D.C. Metro Police, where he's releasing the National Guard, every one of us out here fully expect that the likelihood of us being gassed, of us being bear maced, of us being locked up is much higher than it has before. So let me deliver a message to MAGA, to Donald Trump, to any of you listening. I've been bear maced before. I've been tear gassed before. I've been locked up before. But if I may quote the great Fred Hampton, you can lock up a revolutionary. You cannot lock up a revolution.
Mayor Bowser, we've gotten through the first night of this federal surge. What do you want the people of D.C. to know in regards to the coordination with the city in this regard?
Well, I want them to know that their chief of police, our chief of police, Pamela Smith, who has years and years of experience working both at the local level and the federal level, is working with federal law enforcement partners to help deploy the surge resources, the additional resources in a way that is going to help us continue to drive down crime.
What does that look like, Chief Smith? How will this work? Will certain areas receive more coverage? What's the details on the strategic plan?
So what I'll say is this. We have heard from many of our community members since I've been here over the last 2.5 years. And one of the things that has been very concerning for me is areas around the city where there's crime. And we have our officers in certain places. This is a great opportunity for us to build upon continuing to drive down crime with our federal law enforcement partners.
So the mayor of D.C. and the chief of police clearly are saying that they welcome what Trump has done and that D.C. already works in concert with federal agents in certain capacities already. I think that that's what a city should do. A city should cooperate with the federal government. The federal government should cooperate with a city when it comes to crime and apprehension and things like that. So you have some people on one side of the coin that doesn't want the local authorities to work with ICE, doesn't want any help with reducing crime from the federal government, don't want any help at all. And then you have some people who think that it is necessary to add those surge resources that are much appreciated and needed because the crime in some of these cities is just out of control. And if we're honest with ourselves, we know that in some areas, not all, crime is out of control. So let's hear what else the mayor and the chief of police had to say.
What that looks like is the U.S. Marshal has an interagency incident management team where we will assist them with coordinated efforts around our city. I mean, you've been here, you've reported out on different areas around our city where we've seen spikes in crime. So
hundreds of teens showed up in that area over the weekend, and in some cases they got violent. D.C. police say these teen meetups are organized on social media, and now neighbors say they want to see a stricter curfew in place. Randy Ayala joins us live this morning from the Navy Yard with what happens next. Good morning, Randy.
Yeah, good morning, Wisdom. People living here in Navy Yard, they say they're just fed up with the violence, these teen takeovers that we've been calling them. There was a police officer parked right across the metro stop here in that little park for much of the early morning hours. That officer has since left, but we did see a police presence out here this morning. Advisory neighborhood commissioners, they are taking this fight to the chief of police. They say they want to talk to her about what can be done here to keep this area safe for the people who live in this area, who work here. I want to show you video from this teen takeover. Our team was there Saturday night. Hundreds of teens out here, and our cameras caught them fighting, even attacking 2 adults at one point after robbing them. D.C. police say they arrested 3 people. And we checked right now, D.C. does have a curfew in place for anyone under 17. It starts at 11 p.m. during the week and midnight on weekends. And the penalties really fall back on the parents. They could face a fine of up to $500. Teens in violation could also face community service hours. At this community town hall meeting that took place last night, neighbors who live here said scenes like this are scary. They want city leaders to intervene here. Family advocates say, though, getting more police involved won't necessarily help.
The curfew is a Band-Aid, but it could work. In addition to other programs that are targeting the families of these youths.
In order for us to come to a solution with all of this stuff, we all have to be on one page and we have to think as a team. And we can't just look at it as, I want him arrested, I want her arrested, or I want the police more involved.
I think that what people have to understand is there are consequences to these behaviors. So you have people in the community that don't want to see these young people get locked up. But at the same time, are they supposed to just wild out, bust people in the head, stomp on people, rob them? If you were a victim, or if your loved one was a victim, their head being crashed into the concrete and their stuff being robbed and stolen, you would be singing a different tune. I don't understand why black people think that, you know, they want to do something about the crime, but when someone steps up to do something about the crime, they want to say how we need other resources and this and that and so forth and so on. I do think we need stronger education system. I do think there needs to be more recreational things for children out here to do and participate in. I think that members in these churches and these parents need to step up more to form organizations, groups, have activities, meetups to do positive things with these teenagers, because it seems like they're trying to entertain themselves by wilding out in the street, shoplifting, and attacking people because they think there are no consequences. And they need to learn at a young age that there are consequences, and they need to start going into the schools, talking to these teens, letting officers come in there, talk to them, and really just talk to the kids. Like when I was young, there was a lot of things that we did with the church and different people that did outreach stuff for us that we could count on every week, that we could go do and assemble together and stuff like that. Was good, clean, positive things that we had, from movie nights to going to skating rinks, all kinds of things. So the young people do need to be able to talk and express themselves and let the adults know that, hey, they're bored, they're looking for something to do. However, if you are going to rob, beat people up, do all kinds of stuff, there are consequences to that. And we need to stop encouraging criminality. And the Democrats are always trying to do things that will advocate for not having any consequences. A revolving door on the prison, no bail. You know, you have some of these radical district attorneys that aren't charging people with things. You don't have to throw the book at somebody, but you should make them do something to have some sort of accountability. You know, these communities are not safe, many of these communities. And now that Donald Trump is coming in concert with the mayor and the chief of police, we're hearing out of their own mouths that they don't see that this is a bad partnership because there is low recruits to the police force. They need the extra help in certain capacities in certain areas. That's a good thing. You know, you can't complain about the crime, and then when someone does something, you want to say how it's racist, how it's this and how it's that, and how it's not really that much crime, and all. I mean, which is it?
What we're going to do is build up on that and working collaboratively with our U.S. Marshals, our DEA, and all of the other federal partners here to ensure that we're placing resources around our city in those areas where we've seen an impact at this increase in crime.
The White House announced 23 arrests last night, including a homicide, DUI, fare evasion, and other crimes. Is that on par with what we generally see on a weeknight in D.C., more or less?
Not necessarily. Remember, you're talking about 500 additional personnel in the District of Columbia. And as you know, we've talked about the fact that we're down in numbers with our police officers. And so this enhanced presence clearly is going to impact us in a positive way.
Well, obviously, she said that it is going to impact the city in a positive way, and I think it is too. I mean, that is our nation's capital. It should be the safest place in the whole entire country. There's no way, stuff like January 6th, that should not have been able to even happen. Everything should be secure and safe. The teens wilding out, taking over the streets, that should not happen. So they do need to make sure our nation's capital is secure and safe. I'm going to play a little clip from Roland Martin in response to the National Guard being deployed to Washington, D.C. And you have people like Roland Martin that always want to steer black people in the wrong direction. We should be glad to work with the federal and local authorities to stamp down the crime in our communities. Most black people will never, ever see the inside of a prison cell. There's less than 500,000 black people in the prison system, and that's in the state and federal system combined. It's about 50 million black people in the country. So comparatively to all of us in here, it's only a small percentage of blacks that are criminals. And we need to make sure that we are involved with law enforcement to keep our communities safe. That's just the bottom line. You need to raise your children to respect the teachers when they go into those schools. You need to raise your children to make sure they're being respectful when they walk these streets. And yes, there are consequences to bad behavior. They're adults. You need to know there are consequences to bad behavior. You have seniors that are running into their house before it turns dark outside because they're afraid to even be outside in their own communities. You have teenagers and adults that can't even walk the streets without it being filth and trash all over the place, drug dealers hanging out, fighting over turf, drug addicts running up thinking they need to rob somebody because they need to get another hit. Yeah, we should welcome law enforcement into our communities. And as black people, we really need to change our relationship with law enforcement because most of us out here are not criminals. Most of us out here aren't going to go to jail. And the ones that are going to go to jail, they do need to be taken up off the street. They're making life miserable for people that are living in these communities. But you'll have somebody like Roland Martin roll out of the clown car talking about how there's no crime, there's no crime. You know, when Trump wasn't doing anything about it, I pulled up news articles, I've pulled up videos from news stations where they were complaining about the crime. They were complaining about the crime. Now that he's deploying the National Guard to D.C., all of a sudden, there's no crime. Crime's gone down. There's no crime. I mean, it's like, get the fuck out of here.
Attorney General Pam Bondi to talk about the federal law enforcement officers and the National Guard being put on the streets in Washington, D.C. This was a social media post put out by that idiot Pam Bondi. Quote, I just concluded a productive meeting with D.C. Mayor Bowser at the Department of Justice. We agreed that there is nothing more important than keeping residents and tourists in Washington, D.C. safe from deadly crime. At President Trump's direction, the Justice Department will work closely with D.C. City Government and D.C. Police Department to make Washington, D.C. safe again. Now, we all know that's filled with lies because D.C.'s crime has been dropping dramatically. And so you got all these people who are running their mouths talking about, oh my God, how awful it is living in D.C. I've been here 15 years. I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Washington, D.C. is a lot more dangerous than you probably actually think, with murders happening on camera pretty often, and a lot of these murders happen in ways that you wouldn't believe. Like this guy walking straight outside with an ARP, and he got so excited before the hit that he actually tripped down the steps. Keep in mind that this video isn't meant to promote violence, but is meant to spread awareness on the violence going on around us. Washington, D.C.'s murder rate has been rising ever since 2018. In 2019, there was a total of 180 murders at the end of the year, and so far this year, there's been a total of 278 murders, which is a 54% increase in just 5 years. This first one will happen in broad daylight at a gas station.
Shout out to Top Viral Report TV. He actually has a lot of videos on all the killings and crimes that are going on in these major cities in our communities, and you have a lot of people that want to play things down and pretend as though these things aren't happening when someone actually is stepping up to do something about it, because they want black people to continue to live in murder cities. They want black people to continue to live in poverty. They want black schools to continue to have kids that are wilding out and out of control. Anyone who steps up and says that the youth should be taught to be held accountable for their actions and to carry themselves in a respectful way, anytime somebody steps up and says, yes, we need to get rid of crime out of our community, we need to engage law enforcement in a meaningful way that will keep us safe, you'll always have these people rolling out of the clown car that want to be naysayers and rile people up and protest and rally and all of this other stuff, but they don't want to do anything when it's all this crime that's happening where black people are losing their lives, where people are losing their lives of any color as a result of the crime. So let's see what Roly Poly has to say, but it's always something that is going to downplay anything that is going to help uplift black people. Of course, we should have more law enforcement if it means getting rid of those bad apples who insist on making our communities unsafe.
So here's some stats. Violent crime, down 26%. Robbery, down 28%. Sex abuse, down 50%. Interesting.
And what's interesting is that he didn't mention that as of August 12th, there were 100 homicides. Yes, this is a decrease compared to last year where it was 112. So there's a 12 body count difference. And if there isn't any proper intervention, who's to say that 2025 wouldn't yield more murders than what happened last year? So to sit there and pretend as though, oh, crime is down, but that doesn't mean that crime is low. Crime is still high.
Again, when you look at those type of numbers, you got to ask yourself the question, what the hell are they talking about?
This literally was just 4 days ago, what the news was reporting.
As Tobacco and Wireless on the 1500 block of Benning Road. D.C. police say they arrived around 11:40 Friday night, throwing items in and outside of the store. Video from an employee shows the aftermath, items scattered everywhere. Police say multiple items were stolen and an employee suffered a minor injury. On Saturday, loyal customers stopped by to check in on the business that's only been open for around 2 months.
Just came over here to see how they doing because it's a nice store and the guys are nice here. It's no problem. So people just need to control their kids more. I'm sorry.
This is our community. This is our community that we're trashing. It's funky. It stinks. The stores are dirty. And I don't know what we're going to do.
This is the sign the business has posted out front talking about looting, saying they plan to take action soon. And speaking with people in the neighborhood, they tell me they're frustrated. They say it's incidents like this that prevent the area from keeping businesses.
Exactly. Private business owners are not going to be able to come into these communities and sustain a business if they're being looted, robbed, attacked, different things like that. Now, you have some in the Democratic Party and the far left wing that want to encourage this lawlessness to create these deserts so they can come in with their government-run grocery stores and pharmacies and try to present a solution. But I'm sure they wouldn't allow all this looting and rioting in these government-run stores. But when it comes to private business owners, hey.
The CVS closed. I know it's the Dollar Tree haven't been open in some time. I don't even know if they might open back up.
They say they hope Friday night's actions don't cause this convenience store to close as well. As far as a solution,
I feel like it should start at home. Children need to be watched more.
More police presence, not just the vehicles. Maybe that will help.
D.C. police say the investigation into the incident is ongoing.
We've got to be realistic. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Comment below if you're so motivated to do so. This is Wonders of a Black Woman.